African Paralympic Committee, Mr. Samson Dean. And Ghana has a huge list of to-dos when it comes to event organization. Do remember that in the next year, we'll have a lot to do. Away from participating in international events, we also have two major events to deliver. I'm talking about the Africa Games, which was earlier postponed, and then the Paralympic Games. Now, the first edition of the African Paralympic Games is supposed to come off, in the next month or two. Now, question is, are facilities ready? And do remember that for parasport, we do need specialized facilities. Have we upgraded our facilities to that extent that we can comfortably say that we're ready to organize this and organize it flawlessly, especially considering that it's going into the books as the very first in the history of the African continent? And also, on a very sentimental note, knowing that the leader of the African Paralympic Committee is Ghanaian, it behoves on us as a collective to ensure that we push him and make him succeed. More on that conversation later on. Do remember that the main subject for today is the Black Stars of Ghana. Now, during the week, we saw the very successful draw for the next set of qualification processes for the next FIFA World Cup, which will be jointly hosted by the United States of America, Mexico, and Canada. Now, the Black Stars are looking forward to appearing a fifth time at the FIFA World Cup. Well, in 2006, it was a good story because we had not appeared there before and managed to make it to the second round on first attempt. A great story told by Stephen Appiah and the rest of the lads. In the year 2010, it was our best performance yet as Ghana made it into the quarterfinals. Now, in the year 2014, Ghana finished the group stage with a draw and had to return home. And of course, it also metamorphosed into a very big saga of bonuses and all other things that happened. There was also a commission of inquiry that was set up to look into Ghana's participation in that tournament and how the failure happened. Fast forward in 2022, after the inability to qualify for the Russia 2018 edition, the Black Stars went into Qatar and were unable to qualify from the group stage. We've had an Africa Cup of Nations event that has been termed the worst performance by the Black Stars so far in the competition that the Black Stars have won on 4 occasions. So, question is, we're starting a new journey. How do we mold this journey to ensure that the Black Stars overcome the potential challenges that the likes of Mali, Madagascar, Central African Republic, and Comoros Islands can pose, as we go along? We'll also be looking at some of the other groups and what is likely to happen. We know the likes of Nigeria, where were denied the opportunity of participating in the last World Cup, courtesy Ghana. Remember that we had to settle on a 2-legged tie system, which got the 5 confirmed nations. And as we look forward to this World Cup, remember that we're going to have possibly 10 teams, but at least out of these 9 groups, we're going to have 9 teams. The most successful teams in the groups will go, which I'm talking about those who who top the groups would go through. And then there will be a playoff system for the best 4 runners-up in all the groups by the collation and by the head-to-head system. So we're looking forward to an exciting time of a round of qualifiers, a 2-legged ties between all of these teams, and hopefully it's going to bring some very good football. Remember that staring at us as well is the confirmation of our qualification to the next Africa Cup of Nations. So it's a tall order. There's no doubt about that. It's a tall order. And today, we just want to look at the new journey that the Black Stars want to tow. What should we be looking out for? How are the prospects looking like? And, how should we rate the teams, considering what we have seen of them in previous times on the stages of the Africa Cup of Nations and also on the stage of the qualifiers? My name is Nathaniel Atto. I'm backed by the rest of the Joy Sports team. In a few minutes, I'm going to introduce to you my guests, and then we get the conversation started. This is the Joy Sports Link.
Joy 99.7 FM.
Well, those of us watching and joining us on YouTube, I'm sure you've realized I'm doing a lot of gesturing, a lot of that. Yeah, so this is what you get when you decide to get on YouTube and follow the show. not necessarily behind the scenes, but subtle behind the scenes movement. Now, let's tell you about Vodafone Edim promo. Edim. My tree is good, And don't miss this opportunity to cash out on the Edemu promo. Now, all you need to do is to purchase airtime or a bundle worth 5 Ghana cedis or more and receive a top-up of 20% or cash back your Vodafone cash wallet. But not Edim. So all you need to do is make sure that you participate in the Vodafone Edemu Dance Challenge and stand a chance of winning amazing prizes from Samsung Ghana like phones and earbuds. All you need to do is to post a video of yourself on social media dancing to the signature Edemu song and tag Vodafone Ghana. Keep reloading in the Vodafone Edemu promotion and win big. Vodafone, further together. All right, so it's time to get you acquainted to our guest in the studio. Well, he hasn't been here in a while. He joins me here regularly with a very calm demeanor, but always hitting the points and putting those who need to be put on their toes on their toes. Jerome Ochre is an editor and has been following the Black Stars here in Ghana and internationally as well, and has a fair appreciation of what's been happening in the camp and has thoughts to share as we look at this group. Also, would have a conversation with a man who had his major season as a pundit at the last FIFA World Cup with the Joy Prime channel. You do remember that we brought you live games on the Joy Prime channel, and Ghana International, David Akam, who is based in the Major League Soccer, joins us from the United States at his base. He will be telling us all of this from the perspective of the players and from the perspective of seeing what was done in Qatar and seeing the performances that the Black Stars posted in Qatar. Well, if you ask me, I'll tell you, in Qatar, we won our most difficult game and lost our easiest game. I don't know if you agree with me. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, send me a message. It's 055-1111-997. If you are in the US and other places outside of Ghana, just like David Akam, who we're just about to have the conversation with, just make sure to add +233. So it'll be +233 55-1111-997. Let's have this conversation together and let's make this Joy Sports Link the interactive one that it always is. Jerome, thank you so much for joining us, and of course, David, good to see you. Charlie, I like that that short-sleeved red shirt. You look good, man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, I mean, let's begin with you, David. How's it been for you? I mean, since we wrapped up the World Cup punditry and you went back to your base, how have things gone so far?
To be honest, it's been good, but at the moment, I'm doing like family time. Because I miss spending time with my family, and at the moment I'm just spending time with my family, and I'm having a good family time. So I'm loving it so far.
All right, you've spoken about family time, which brings me to a very, very important yet dicey subject. The whole world, got up or was exposed to the news about Benjamin Mendy getting acquitted of rape charges, and this brings a very big sigh of relief, especially for those of us here on the African continent and those of us of black origin who look at some of these things and see the undertones and all the other undercurrents. I don't know what you think. I mean, when you saw the news, I don't know what your first reaction was. Memphis Depay has put up a message, and he's been talking about who will help Benjamin Mendy to heal from all of this, and who will help him to get his career back on track, because this rape trial, surely has done a lot of damage to him psychologically. I don't know how you feel about all of this.
It has, but it's difficult, especially in this time of the world we are now. It's difficult to even have opinion about stuff because you don't know what people will say or think. And personally, I feel for Mendy because he's been through a lot in the last 3 years. He's been to jail and all this stuff. So I know he will feel relieved because of he's got justice now. But it's difficult. I don't really have opinion about what really happened because I don't really know the details. I haven't read about anything about the rape case. But I'm happy he's got the justice that he deserves, and hopefully everyone. And I think, for me personally, I think he will just go back home and relax and and try to get over all this. I don't think he will take it further. For me personally, I won't take it further because you don't want to go back into court and do all this stuff again. Just go back home, relax with your family, and think about the future or the next step for him.
David Akam there on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. Jerome, you also received the news. I did realize that our platforms were buzzing with a lot of reactions from all of this.
Yeah, and I was equally surprised. Not in the sense that I wanted him to be thrown into jail, but if you have, is it 10 or 12 charges against you and all of them are
dropped,
thrown away, it goes to show that yes, he may have been accused, but the accuser or the prosecution couldn't show that indeed the offense he's supposed to have committed was really committed. And that was my surprise. The other thing too was, so I kept asking myself, and I've been asking a few colleagues who follow the European game very well, that so what becomes of him now? Is he entitled to anything? Was he dismissed by his club? How does he move on from here? And I've looked at this video in various ways, and I get emotional. You know, he said one word, and that was it.
Yeah.
The journalist kept
asking him questions,
and he just walked away. I don't know how many of us can go through this and behave the way he did. And I mean, you look at it and you are like, how does these things happen? If you are a person of faith, like some of us, you definitely would want to leave it to God. And I think that's the is it Arabic or Islamic word he used?
Alhamdulillah is what he said.
Yeah, he says it all. He says it all because there's really nothing you can say. If he's to say anything, I'm sure he will have so much to share. But thank God the law says he's guiltless. He doesn't have any. There wasn't any evidence to support any of the claims made against him, and he's a free man to walk away. Just that, I'm just looking at how he will recover from this, because he was such a a lovable player, very talented. I mean, he was doing what he's been trained to do, and something like this just come in, cuts it, and then later you are told that he didn't commit the offense.
And that also brings the lessons that we are all supposed to learn as a collective in this sports industry, this global sports industry, because this is not the very first time that you're having a top end athlete get into a scandal like this.
And I read something our colleagues, our senior colleague Sani Dara put on Twitter yesterday. I thought it was so insightful. I mean, showing what especially athletes within that environment should do and should know when they go there, and the kind of things they should avoid, the places they shouldn't go and all that. And I found that to be very interesting. And you know, subsequently somebody posted a picture of one of our players with a white lady in the car. I said, wow. You know. But I mean, this is not an experience you wish for anyone. I mean, I won't wish this for anyone. And
and to think that the Cristiano Ronaldos of this world have also had their fair share of these kinds of things.
Yeah, it says a lot. It says a lot. And for me, what it means is that we all have to be careful. You know, you can never tell what will happen to you and at what time and how you'll be able to overcome it. We just hope that some of these things won't happen or even come our way.
Well,
and let me get out. I've been with 2 friends in Sweden, and they have been in that situation. And they serve their term, and it's difficult with them. It's difficult to recover, and it's something you don't really wish for anyone. Because, and as my senior bro said, you have to be careful because you don't know what will happen. You just have to be careful and stay in your lane. Like, you don't really have to blame anyone, or because you don't know how or when it will happen. You just have to be careful.
Well. More to share on all of that, but let's switch the attention now to the Black Stars. The Black Stars are looking forward to making an appearance at the next World Cup. 2018 brought us many lessons on the need why we should be at the World Cup. And the recent announcement by FIFA for the club's benefits program even goes to solidify and imprint that image on our minds that as a nation, once you play football and you play good football and you think you're worth it, you should be at the World Cup.
Yeah, and first of all, it's one of the reasons I do not get it when some people don't want us to be at the World Cup. I mean, as I waited to start this show with you, to be on this show with you, I was reading something written by one of our colleagues, Stephen Zando. I think he's in Kumasi, Lab FM, and what he wrote sends a lot of message, or let's say messages, to those who think that it doesn't make sense or who wish that Ghana doesn't go to the World Cup. I'll just read it with your indulgence.
Please go ahead.
He says, knowing the amount our local clubs made from the Qatar World Cup, I still maintain we should have local players in any Black Star squad for a World Cup tournament. The coach can even select the best 4 players of our league from the various departments. Why can't we? I have said that, and here I'm just looking at the importance of the World Cup for a country like us. And you just mentioned how much FIFA is giving to our clubs here, those who had players there. And you want to look at our situation, economic situation, particularly of our football, and say that if indeed we go to the World Cup, and this is how much we earn, a little over $500,000 or so. In fact, for Haas and Kotoko alone, it's just around $400,000.
Yes.
And I agree with Stephen when he says this, because see, if we are going to develop our local league, take it to maybe some reasonably good standard, and we can pick 4 players or 3 players, the best that we can all agree on. They go to the World Cup, and this is how much is going to come from FIFA. Why shouldn't we go that line? And indeed, to answer the question, why shouldn't we put in everything to qualify for the World Cup, so that whatever comes out of the World Cup can be reinvested or put back into the game to develop it, so that we will go to more World Cups. And don't forget what Asamoah said at the draw when he was asked about Ghana's group and our chances and all that. He said something very strong. He said that since 2006, 2006 when we qualified, except 2018, we have always been there. And he believes we will go again. That should tell you. In fact, he actually said we've been used to going. That should tell you that everyone in the game loves to see us there because the benefits are enormous. Some of them I don't think we can even quantify. Like if you look back at 2010 in South Africa, look at how Ghana lifted the African flag. And I was there, saw everyone in the stadium wishing that Ghana wins. Unfortunately, we couldn't win. But the point I'm making is that being at the World Cup is such a huge thing that you cannot take it for granted. And that's why some of us will wish that regardless of how our team looks presently, we will put in everything and secure another berth, especially when we are going to the United States. And
yes, definitely. And talk about the United States. The right man to have a conversation with us is here. David Akam plays his football in the Major League Soccer. David, the rest of the world is coming to the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. From where you sit, how crucial would it be for us to be there and to also make an impact?
I think we all know the benefits of qualifying to World Cup, and the next World Cup is in USA, and that's huge. And I know I'm here in the USA, and I know what the USA are preparing. They are preparing for a great World Cup, and for me, I think it will be even better or bigger than what we saw in Qatar. So this is the world showpiece, and every country wants to be there. So if we want to be the best, want to be considered as the best country in football, then we have to be here. We have to do everything to be here. And for me, as I said, it's always possible to qualify if we do the right things. And of course, there's a lot of work to do, but we have to be here in the World Cup. I remember playing Ghana played USA in the Connecticut in 2017, and it was huge. There's a lot of Ghanaians in USA and Canada, and they turned the game into like a carnival. They were having fun, and it shows the support that we have here in USA. So if we qualify to the World Cup, then I think in our game it will be massive because we are known for supporting our team, especially everywhere we go. So uh, we have to do everything to qualify to the World Cup.
Tell me about the kinds of lessons you picked up from our participation or the failure at the World Cup in Qatar.
I think we just didn't prepare enough. We just didn't prepare enough. We were not ready. I can say we were not ready because we were not even sure when we had Nigeria. Everyone thought like we were going to lose, so we weren't even ready to play that game. But we managed to qualify, and when we qualified, there was not enough time for us to prepare. We uh, the most lesson I learned was we just have to prepare because if you don't prepare, you don't win. And and at the moment we have time. We have enough time to prepare. And I just saw they just announced their football DNA, and it's just from the beginning. We just have to sow. If you don't sow, how can you reap? So we have time now. We just have to start preparing, start sowing the seeds that will help us to achieve in the future.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of hope expressed even after Ghana's failure at the World Cup about the quality of the young ones and the potential that they have. Um, Jerome,
Yeah.
David has spoken about preparation,
Yeah.
and clearly there's a lot of work to do.
Sure.
We have Cote d'Ivoire to qualify for, and then
Yeah.
after that we have to focus on these qualifiers. I mean, for you, where do we stand? Everybody talks about the material we have now, and you know,
Well,
some people have different measurements of the kinds of players we have now in the team.
you know, we are confronted with two challenges, if I can call them so. One is making it to the AFCON, as you said, and then subsequently the World Cup. What we need to do is to look at how we can surmount these challenges. So, for the AFCON, for example, we are left with one more game to play against Central African Republic, and it's a must-win game. I can't imagine Central African Republic coming here and denying us qualification to the AFCON. I mean, it will be a tragedy of some sort. So we need to do everything within our power to get the qualification ticket to Cote d'Ivoire. Yes, the two games I have seen of the Black Stars in recent months were not impressive, and I'm sure this is something everyone agrees that those games were not what we saw in those games were not exactly what we were looking for. So, for instance, if you take against Madagascar, the game was dry, so boring. People even wondered why at all someone like Kudus, who should have started the game, didn't start. And I have said that our qualification to the next World Cup hinges on three things. One, the fact that we have some quality players around, and their availability will be crucial, because once we know they are good, you would hope that injuries are ruled out, nothing really takes them away from what we would expect them to do. So availability of that quality is very important. Secondly, selection. We may have some good players around, but how you are able to determine these materials are what I need to form my team for the games ahead, it's as important as the availability of those players. If we are not able to select, or if we don't select players on merit, and go back to those days when selection is determined by too many people, I mean, outside of a coach, we are going to have problems. And I have said that since Chris Hughton came, the few calls he's made, it's very clear that it's had massive public acceptance, which says that the public is behind him. The third issue will be coaching, and that sits with the technical team, not just Hughton. There are so many things that go into the organization of games for the Black Stars. What we see, it's 11 players on the field and the coach on the bench directing affairs. And I'm saying that we should get that right. If we're going to get coaching right, if we're going to get selection on merit, and then being lucky to have the quality we already have available when we need them, I don't see why we shouldn't make it to the AFCON, and I don't see why we shouldn't make it to the World Cup. The challenge for us is to ensure that even when things don't go the way we expect, we will see ourselves as a group on a project, and regardless of the difficulties that will come along the way, we will pursue the ultimate, the goal ahead of us. If we don't do that and we come back with that attitude of always trying to reset the button when we should rather focus on what is ahead, then we will have difficulties. We may not achieve what we want to achieve, because see, we shouldn't take for granted the fact that we are not the Ghana that we claim or we say we are. The last time we won the AFCON is how many years? 40 years ago. The Black Stars have been to 2 finals within the last, 13 or 15 years. We've played a number of semi-finals at the AFCON, but we've still not been able to win. It says something. And now, even if you look at the last FIFA draw that happened, was it on Thursday?
Yes.
If you look at it, the people who don't understand how the draw was done, someone asked, how is it that we have nine teams somewhere and the others also somewhere? The point is very simple. You are not considered to be top, class because of your performance. So those who are considered to be good are seeded. And then the rest, more or less, will be added to the best. And that's where we find ourselves now. If you look at the teams in our group, I don't think that if we were the Ghana that we claim to be, or we see ourselves to be, we'll fret over a Comoros, who until 2022, at the AFCON 2021, really nobody would have considered them as a team that can beat Ghana. But because they went 2-0 up against us, we equalized also, and then they had a third goal, and eventually they won, kicked us out of the competition. It sends a signal that if you take them for granted, they will surprise you. The rest of the teams, Chad, I don't remember the last time or ever if we've played Chad. I don't think we played them before. But then, again, I want to look at our strength. If against Madagascar, we were so dry, so uninspiring, then if we are paired against Chad, then I would want to be careful in the sort of confidence I show. Even though ultimately I would want Ghana to win, I'm also being real that against a team like Madagascar, we struggled. So playing out there maybe with Chad, if you don't take care, you could again be surprised. Same as Central African Republic. How many of us haven't made references to how they beat Nigeria, for example? And we beat Nigeria. So, you see, it will be like, okay, going by logic, we may be better. But the truth of the matter is, these teams are all growing. We have mentioned how Mali, for instance, have taken youth football very seriously, how they have beaten us a couple of times, and how we are not even winning against the top teams. So, you see, there's so much work for us to be done. For us to do, if you look at the teams in our group, they may not have that strength that you would think of a typical African football country, but we're also looking at where we are. Now we are not part of the top 10. So you would say that we are outside of the best. So we have to see ourselves like that, cut expectations down, and when I say cut expectations down, I'm not saying we shouldn't expect to win. I'm saying that let's not overrate ourselves, but do the necessary things I have mentioned and look at beating these teams. Yesterday, your guys here had a fantastic show, and one of them said something. I don't know whether it was Sicho or Gary, that while we think of winning at home, we should look at the away games, because that will be critical. If a Mali is going to say Chad to beat them there, Ghana should be doing the same.
Mm.
Because you can't win at home only and say you qualify. You need important results away. So all these are things we should be looking at as we think of the next World Cup.
Let's bring you in, David. The psychological battles that we also need to fight on these stages becomes very important. Now, Mali, for instance, I mean, when you look through the group, Mali definitely is the name that always will make you turn a neck, especially if you followed what has gone on, with the Black Stars and their opposition on the stage of Africa over the last few years. So Mali, Ghana, Madagascar, Central African Republic, Comoros, and Chad. Now, Mali, I mean, how do we overcome that challenge of Mali becoming a pain in our neck in the last couple of years, David?
To be honest, at the moment, I think Mali is a better team than us, and we can't lie to ourselves. We have to be honest. That's from the start, and also looking at the Malians, the last AFCON they played really well, especially in the group stage. They dominated, beat Tunisia, but when it got to the knockout stage, they lost to Equatorial Guinea, if I'm not wrong. And also at the last playoff to the World Cup, they lost to Tunisia. So it's a team that, even though they are good, they have a young players, but I think they lack experience, and they always struggle when the pressure is on. And that's where I think Ghana have advantage. Even though at the moment we're not good, but we have experienced team, and we can play when the pressure is on. So I think that's where we can take advantage of the Malians. But if we go head to head with them, I think they are better than us. But I think with experience and us playing better when the pressure is on is what we can gain advantage over them. So even though it's a tough group, and we can't take anything from Comoros and Madagascar. They are countries that are playing well now. They have a good organized FA who are doing well for them. The last time we played Comoros was in the AFCON, but when I played Comoros, we played them in the qualifying, and we draw in Comoros 0-0. And I think we came back to Accra, we beat them 2-0. It was a tough game. And from that day, I knew most of the teams are catching up. And if they're catching up, then we have to do better and go up. But at the moment, it's like we are stuck in the middle and the teams are catching us up. So there's a lot of work to do. But also, I believe in the Ghana team. We have a lot of good players. And one huge thing that we need is when it's time for the qualifying, I pray and hope that our players or core team of the national team will be on form and are playing well for their club side. That's the only thing we can hope for, because it's always difficult with the national team because the coaches don't have the players to train with or to prepare. So the best thing for us is to hope and pray that they are on form and there's no injuries.
Yeah.
Well, if you just joined us, we're here on the Joy Sports Link on Joy 99.7 FM. And we're discussing the new journey that the Black Stars have to travel towards the FIFA World Cup. So in each of these 9 groups, there are 6 teams, and the winners of the groups get automatic qualification to the FIFA World Cup. Now, do remember that these teams within the groups will be playing each other in 2-legged ties. After all of this is done, there will be a playoff as well, a playoff tournament as well, and this will be constituted by some teams in the other confederations, including 4 of the best performing runners-up in the group stage of the African qualifiers. So there's a window for 1 more to be added to the teams so that we can have 10 teams at the FIFA World Cup. Let's also look at these numbers. I mean, these big numbers at the World Cup. Way to go, or maybe we should have stayed at the.
Well, I told a group of friends that I remember when Africa was given 3 places, and then we were going to 5. I think it was France 98 or 2000. No, it was France 98. So we have come a long way. It used to be 1, it went to 3. Now came to 5,
Five.
and now we're going to 9. There's even a possibility of having 10.
10, yeah.
Yeah, that's if the playoff team is able to win. I think it's about expansion and growth. If some time back, and I remember those articles very well of people who were arguing about how African players had made inroads and were adding so much to the European leagues, for example, and they were doing well. So if that was the case, why limit Africa appearances or Africa places at the World Cup to 3? Then it shot to 5. So today, if it is going to 9 or a possibility of 10, I cannot find the argument against it. I mean, I can't find place for the arguments that oppose the expansion, because this is what we've been looking for. This is what we have asked for a long time, and now we have it. If it's about the cost involved and all the things that make the World Cup what it should be, of course, I mean, you should understand that once we are expanding all those things, there's going to be added cost. But why not? FIFA is a very rich entity with a lot of sponsorship, and they are making so much investment in the game. So we should just accept it and hope that for us as Africans, now there is an expanded opportunity for teams that probably will not dream of a World Cup appearance because of regular customers like Cameroon now have the chance to go in there.
Do you have any concerns about possible diminished quality, considering that the numbers are many? Because those who have argued about the expansion have said that as well. I mean,
well, we can't run away from that. I mean, that is something that, whether we like it or not, we will face it. If I take, for example, the AFCON 2019. AFCON 2019 was the first edition of the AFCON that had 24 countries. And I wasn't particularly impressed with some of the teams I saw, like Tanzania. They were coming to the AFCON for the first time, I think in 40 plus years or so. But then you flip the coin, and there was a Madagascar, who probably, when it was 16, wouldn't have had a chance. But when it was 24, they had the chance and impressed everyone. Were you not impressed with the way Madagascar played at that tournament? You were, So you take the same argument to the World Cup, and there's a likelihood that, yes, the quality, we might not get all the countries performing well, because, I mean, there will be some that are coming in that are not really known to be football forces in the world. But if they qualified on merit, why not give them the chance? I mean, equal chance to play and see what will happen. So I'm saying that we will have countries that will not perform well, but there will also be surprises, and we should accept that, because that's how football should be. It shouldn't always be those that we know are good and will always give us that goodness. It should also give room to those who are not so good, but when given the chance, can spring a surprise.
Let's do a quick run through the groups. David, Group A has Egypt, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, Ethiopia, and Djibouti. Of course, Egypt missed out the last time, and will be fired up to go back there. David, I don't know what your thoughts are on that group.
It will be a tough group because Egypt have aging squad. They're not like before Egypt, and we have Burkina that they are doing really well. It's a team that is coming up. They I think they already qualified to the AFCON, so they're doing really well. They have Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, who they are building their new team. So I don't think Egypt will have it easy in this group. And for me, they are not the favorite, even though they are in the top seed. But I don't think they are the favorite. I'll go for Burkina to be the favorite in this group.
Yeah, and the Mo Salah effect, it hasn't really worked on his time as captain, of the side.
It may have worked in some instances, like the 2018 World Cup. He delivered the last kick. Was it the penalty that ensured the qualification? as they played Uganda or so, and they were happy. The Egyptians were very happy. So it may have not given them exactly what they are looking for, but so be it. The last AFCON, they were in the finals with Senegal. And if you look at where Mo Salah was or where he is, and then where Sani, the Senegalese player, where he Sadio Mane, yeah, where he was at the time too, you wouldn't be well if you're an Egyptian, you'll be disappointed you didn't win. But for maybe a neutral like me who don't come from any of those countries, if Salah had won, good. But Sadio Mane and his Senegalese people needed it much, and they showed the hunger they had. So I don't really think that Salah can cry over anything. I think he's given enough to the game, and the game is such that sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and that should be it. I still would think Egypt will have this, but Burkina will be a real threat. A real threat, yeah.
And so you mentioned Sadio Mane. Sadio Mane has yet another opportunity after winning the AFCON with his nation to do this and get to the World Cup. So Senegal, Democratic Republic of Congo, Mauritania, Togo, Sudan, and South Sudan. And over there are loads and loads of political undertones.
Yes, and some have wondered why at all we had that grouping. I don't see anything wrong with it. Because it was seeded, you were likely to have very weak teams or weaker teams in one group. That's why we have Sudan and South Sudan there. It's not going to be a walk in the park for any of the sides there. But you look at the strength Senegal has shown over time, especially in recent months or years, and you would think that there too there will be a force to reckon with. I don't see any of the teams upstaging them, but they will have to work hard to earn the ticket.
So, David, in Group C, there is Nigeria, a common name, especially if you're Ghanaian and you've been within this space. So, Nigeria, South Africa, Benin, Zimbabwe, Rwanda, and Lesotho. Nigeria were denied the opportunity by Ghana at the last count. Now, in the last 24 hours, we've heard news of how President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has named legend J.J. Okocha to head the Youth and Sports Ministry. So it sure will be very interesting if this goes through and, he gets the nod. I mean, it will be a big project for him to deliver, J.J. Okocha. I don't know about you, David.
Yes, it's huge, and personally, I always root for old footballers to succeed in whatever they do. So I don't know much about Okocha, about his leadership qualities, but I root for him to succeed. But also, when you look at the Nigerian team, they have one of the best team in Africa at the moment. They have a lot of young attacking players who are doing well.
And they have a Victor Osimhen as well.
Osimhen, this guy, he plays in Belgium. He won the goal, he scored a lot of goals. They have a lot of players doing well, and if they put things in place, they should be able to qualify. No, I won't say easily, but they should be able to qualify. At the moment, they have a coach. I don't think they have a coach. I read somewhere they haven't even paid their coach for like 5 or 6 months, and their FA president is leaving. Is allowing the supporters to vote if they want to keep the coach. So imagine all this, and you have to prepare for a World Cup with all this. So they have a good team, but if they don't put things in place well, it will be difficult for them to qualify. And we have the South Africans who think they are really, really good, but they're not there yet at the moment. Even though they have been there, but at the moment they're not a stronghold. That they also want to qualify because it's a big country and they always want to be in the World Cup. We have Benin, who are doing well at the moment, and Rwanda is always a difficult place to play qualify. The atmosphere, the field, everything. So it will be a good group. But also, I believe if Nigeria have everything in place, they should be able to qualify.
All right, so Nigeria and South Africa. South Africa getting denied the opportunity by Ghana. At the stage of at the group stage when last year we were trying to qualify for the FIFA World Cup. Also, there's Zimbabwe, there's Rwanda, and Rwanda has a bit of a relationship with Ghana, considering that the legendary coach Selastete once handled their national team. Rwanda is doing very well in terms of African renaissance, in terms of the African image, and their tourism, growing their economy generally, and being an example of growth for the African continent. Yeah. In the area of football, however, we're not sure how it's going to go, so we'd want to see what President Paul Kagame is doing, collaborating with the Rwandan FA to see if they can pull something interesting off in this Group C of the qualifiers. And then you come to Group D. Group D has Cameroon, Cape Verde, Angola, Libya, Eswatini, and Mauritius. So Cameroon went to the last FIFA World Cup and they beat Brazil, but it did not become a big deal because it was a little too late.
Yeah, and they are regular customers. If we are saying we are becoming used to qualifying, then you would say Cameroon are regular customers. The thing with Cameroon is that they have all it takes to be there. But it gets to a point where they, instead of taking it early, they will sometimes wait till the last day of qualification. And that is where I fear for them. If you look at the likes of Angola in their group, and even Cape Verde, these two teams can spring a surprise or give Cameroon a shocker if they don't stand well. With the rest, Mauritius, Eswatini, Libya, I think they're right off. I don't see them posing any threat to Cameroon.
Let's do Group E. David, Morocco, Zambia, Congo, Tanzania, Niger, and Eritrea. Morocco definitely under the spotlight because of the example they set at the last FIFA World Cup.
Yeah, Morocco are the favorite, but also I think this is the group of death for me. We have Zambia, who have a lot of good young players playing well at the moment, and Congo, who are always dominant in Africa. They don't really have like big names, but they always they're about. Tanzania, who are doing well. Also, it's difficult to go to Tanzania because of the weather. It's always humid there. We have Niger, who are building like a lot of good things in their country. So it will be really tough for the Moroccans if they don't really prepare. Even though at the moment they are the top team in Africa, and I think they are in the top 20 in the world as well. So they will be the favorite to qualify, but I fancy Zambia, Congo giving them like a challenge.
If you just joined us, we're discussing the new journey that the Black Stars need to travel to the next FIFA World Cup. It is an established fact that we have to be there as a nation, and how to manage that is, what we need to figure out. But being there is very, very important, especially because of benefits as well that have come. And the last example being the one with the club's benefits program. Well, let's do some more and throw the focus on Group F, where you have Ivory Coast, Gabon, Kenya, the Gambia, Burundi, and Seychelles Island.
Very, very interesting. And the interesting bit is in the fact that you have Gambia, who are rising, who are doing some good work back home, and also the fact that there is Gabon. Gabon can flatter to deceive anyhow, but they are also the side that can be very boogie, So I think Ivory Coast has what it takes to pick this slot, but they should watch out for Gambia especially. Kenya, well, this is not, no disrespect, but this is not athletics. I think that the real threat here to Cote d'Ivoire could be Gabon or the Gambia. There's also Seychelles and Burundi, but I still will go for Ivory Coast or the Gambia. In fact, I would be very happy if the Gambia takes this, but then they would have so much work to do to upstage Ivory Coast in this group.
Well, let's see. And for Ivory Coast as well, it's a lot of football to consume.
Oh, yeah.
They have a Nations Cup to
Yeah.
to host, and then after that they have to focus on getting to the World Cup and doing it.
I mean, I agree with you. They will have a lot on their plate, and they must show a lot of hunger to clear everything on their plate, because hosting the AFCON is one thing, playing to win is another. And right after that, in fact, even before that, they would have to start the World Cup qualifiers in November.
Yeah.
So they have so much.
So that becomes a way of garnering support locally as well for the AFCON.
For that, oh yeah,
Yeah.
of course. I don't know who they are playing first, but definitely that will be enough to give them something to look out for. If they start the World Cup campaign well, it's in November. The AFCON is in January. The fans really will be rallying up to welcome the rest of Africa.
And talk about that. Have you made your plans?
Oh, not yet. We are in July.
Yeah, I was David.
Also, I think
Yeah.
whatever happens at the AFCON will affect them in the World Cup qualifier,
Exactly.
Very well.
because it's all mentally and psychologically. Well, I think if they play well in the AFCON, then they will have the confidence, and the fans will be behind them in the World Cup qualifier. But if it doesn't go well, then there will be a lot of negativity in the camp and in the fans as well. So it will have effect on them on the qualifier.
All right, so we're still here discussing this one where Ghana has to toe a new path to the FIFA World Cup. At the last count, it wasn't a pleasant experience. Ghana, survived just by the skin of the teeth. And I remember, I always like to go back to that story. I think that we are necessarily, overrated Uruguay and their effect, because Uruguay was an easier game than South Korea.
No, we did. We did, because you see, we're all caught in that revenge euphoria, that this was the time to pay them back, and we forgot that even for us, our team was not as good as theirs. And you see, even if we were better than them in terms of experience, I think they had shown so much to give to that game than us. And by the time we realized, you see, I've forgotten. I think it was Amate. One of the FIFA interviews I read, he just said that once we conceded a penalty after 17 or so minutes, I think 20 minutes or so, and the guys took the lead, their energy and everything was gone. How do you get to the World Cup at that stage? Yes, I mean, a penalty is awarded against you, they take the lead, and you say your firepower is gone. 21 minutes. You have more than 90 minutes to play, because, I mean, at the World Cup, we saw how the time added on system worked, So these are things that we have to take note of. And at the next opportunity, we make sure we don't repeat them, because football is 90 minutes and over. If you are going to lose steam very early, winning football matches will be very difficult, especially at that level where you have technically gifted teams who would stop at nothing to beat you. You don't give in like that.
Talk about technically gifted teams. We'd want to look at Group G, where Algeria is there, Guinea is there, Uganda, Mozambique, Botswana, and Somalia. Algeria obviously will be under the spotlight because of previous exploits.
Yes, of course. But if you notice, Algeria haven't done so well after winning the last two AFCONs. It's been tough for them coming back. In fact, they missed the last World Cup. I think Cameroon eliminated them on the last day. But here, I'm sure they are going to put things together to see whether they can lay claim to this ticket. Guinea, a boogie side. Uganda, sometimes impressive, sometimes not. But then they will be difficult to beat, especially at home. Mozambique, same thing. They can be rough at home. Botswana and Somalia. Somalia will be very interesting to watch. I don't know where they are going to play. I mean, I watched some of their under-17 games, and it looks like they are doing something with youth football. one of their regional tournaments they even won. So maybe they will offer some competition. But here it should be Guinea and Algeria fighting for this slot.
Well, Guinea and Algeria fighting for this spot from Group G. I don't know what your thoughts are. That's the reason why you'd have to send us a message on 055 35 minutes past 1 p.m. In a bit, we'll also activate the phone line so that you can join us with your thoughts on what you expect the Black Stars to get going with as we start the process of qualifying for yet another World Cup. It will be a 5th appearance, but first of all, do we have what it takes to be there? And do we have what it takes to overcome the potential challenge that the likes of Mali, Madagascar, Central African Republic, Comoros, and Chad will give us? Remember that Ghana is still in battle with Central African Republic, especially for a place at the Africa Cup of Nations. And it's not done yet. Ghana is still not qualified for the competition yet. It is very, very risky at the moment, and would have to see how it goes and what eventually happens. David, let's quickly take a look at the final one, because we've looked at Group I, which has Ghana in it already. So there's Tunisia, there's Equatorial Guinea, Namibia, Malawi, Liberia, and Sao Tome and Principe. Now, Tunisia was one of the very big beneficiaries of the rewards program, the club benefits program from FIFA, and clearly they are, just like Morocco and Egypt, have grown a strong domestic league. We can count the likes of one of our players who managed to play for Esperance de Tunis for so many years before going, Harrison Affle, playing there and making loads and loads of achievements before leaving to go and play in the Major League Soccer. Where would you put this, David?
I think this is the straightforward group in the world and the qualified. Because
you think this is the most straightforward group?
Yeah, I think so, because I don't see anyone going past Tunisia. And with Tunisia, it's difficult because you don't really see how they play, but they always win games. They play as a team. I don't think they really have a star player, even though they have this what's his name, the midfielder number 10. They are most likely they are star players, but most of them play together. They play so well as a team, and you can't really break them down. Whenever you play them, you can't break them down. They are so solid as a team. And looking at the group, Equatorial Guinea, who are likely to give them a challenge, but I don't really see anyone going past Tunisia.
Well, who will go past Tunisia, and who will be the surprise element? I mean, I keep asking for this, because obviously in all of the groups there are the seeded teams, and off the top of your head, once you know the names that perform in football, or the names that have big names in football or an identity in football, you could just mention them one after the other. But I'm looking forward to at least one surprise element. I hope from a Ghanaian perspective that it will not be the Black Stars giving away that place to one of the teams.
So I will look for the group where there's Gambia.
Okay.
Yeah, I would love to see some of these things.
The Gambia, Gambia have a very interesting story to tell. In the last 15 years or 17 years, one of the biggest surprises that they posed to us was when, we had our late coach Ike Afrani go to coach their under-17 team, if I'm not mistaken.
Was it Osam
Dodo or Akwesi Afrani? Yes, Emmanuel Afrani.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, and at the time we said to ourselves, okay, Gambia, what's happening there? In fact, David, I met a retired civil servant back in 2007, and the story he told me about the Gambia. Well, he said to me that he worked in Ghana for almost 20 years, and so he mentioned to me that he saw Mohamed Polo play football back in the 70s and the early 80s. And he said, look, for crying out loud, I saw Mohamed Polo play. So when I got back to Gambia upon my retirement, I decided never to go to the stadium. And so in 2007, when I met this retired civil servant, he said that based on the experience he saw from the Ghana Premier League at the time, he decided not to watch any football because he didn't see his own people live up to that expectation. But years on, you're seeing a completely different story, isn't it?
Yes, and they started with the last AFCON, where I think they were some sensation. And I remember some of the things or some of the vibes from their camp. one of the things their coach then said was they are going in for nothing. I mean, they are not going there to win. They're going to play and have fun. And if you look at how they performed, it tells you that such teams are dangerous. Apart from saying that they seem to be on some consistent, work, ensuring that their national team, even at the youth level, at the age competitions, are taken seriously. You can clearly tell that teams that come to competitions that have no big expectations on them are really hard to beat. And that's why I feel that if they're going to build on what they did at the last AFCON, it wasn't so impressive in terms of, the AFCON history. There's been better performance. But we are saying that if we want a team that that should be causing a stir in any of the groups, then Gambia should be one of the teams. And it will be exciting. See, it's a very small country. And imagine the sort of joy if we saw the kind of fun they had back home, playing or giving us that excitement at the last AFCON. Imagine what will happen to Gambia if they qualify for the World Cup. Maybe the whole town, the whole country will turn upside down. Because I saw some videos from Banjul and other places, and you could tell that this is a country
very small country, very small country,
that likes football, yet are not one of the best performers, even in the sub-region. Talk less of the continent. A World Cup appearance would be massive.
Yeah, look, the suburbs in Serekunda, Bakau, MRC, will be agog with.
Also they beat Mali in the AFCON qualifier.
Yeah,
they beat Mali in the AFCON qualifier. So it's a country that are doing really well, and they have. At the moment, they have a lot of players playing the top leagues, especially in the Italian league. So, for me also, I believe they can put a surprise in
all
that
right,
group.
so in a few moments, I'll be reading some of the messages, but you let me know which country you think will be the surprise element of this qualification campaign for the next FIFA World Cup in the United States of America, in Canada, and in Mexico. Well, let's do this one. It's from Ajingo, the man in Community 9, Tema. Good afternoon, Nat. Thank God for keeping you. It's a great conversation. But my question is it that the Ghanaian coach, Chris Hughton, hasn't gotten his first 11, or there is pressure on him as to whom to start a game? I think with consistency, the Black Stars can qualify without any difficulties. So this is Ajiman Joseph, a.k.a. Ajingo, the man in Community 9. Well, so this is what Ajingo is saying. He says that he doesn't really see Chris Hughton have a consistent starting 11. But do you blame him, especially at this time when he's trying to rebuild?
I won't blame him. I have a lot of confidence in Hughton. I won't blame him. But you see, maybe Ajingo is saying this because of the last game, where we expected Kudus to start. For such a game, we wanted to see him start, and he didn't. And it's not like the player was injured or there was any problem that we knew of, So if you use that point, then Ajingo is right. He's only played 3 games. Angola, home and away, and then Madagascar. They are not enough to judge any coach, but they also send some signals. So I think he should be sending the right signals, and maybe likes of Ajingo wouldn't be saying he's not consistent or he's not had his a firm grasp of what he wants to do with us. I think it's early, but then the right signals too must be sent.
Well, 0302216541, 0302216541, and 05511119997. Once again, it's 0302216541 and 05511119997. Join us and articulate your thoughts on the Black Stars and the journey ahead. If you feel we should do a few things in tweaking the side before getting ourselves ready for these games in the qualification campaign. Who do you want to see? You have a player that you've noticed somewhere who you feel Coach Chris Hughton should pay extra attention to. What exactly do you want to see happen as the Black Stars get themselves ready for this very big one? As we go along as well, David Akam mentioned in his earlier submission, he mentioned the DNA, the football DNA document that has finally been launched by the Ghana FA. Now, we've been along the analysis of all of these teams and their strengths and their weaknesses. It's an established fact that the smaller teams in these football destinations are all learning and are putting in structures which we seem not to be putting in.
And that's why in recent times we are not doing as we should or as we expect to do. The thing is, we need to plan. We need to execute a plan. We need to put in money in that plan. There are some basic or fundamental things we have to do to give meaning to the fact that, oh, there is talent. I mean, talent is not enough. I mean, in today's football, raw talent is nothing. You really need to polish that talent and get it to the world stage to compete. So we see that indeed, when you say you have talent, you have talent. Our situation is such that we are relying on the raw talent and thinking that that will be enough. I haven't seen or read the DNA of Ghana football, but I've said that it's a good thing. It's a good thing in the sense that if we all say this is Ghana football, how are you going to describe it? I mean, how does Ghana football look like such that when you see it, you can tell someone sitting by you that this is Ghana football? We speak of is it the German machines?
Yes.
What is it that we see with the Germans that we say this is typical German football? There's something in there that we see. We speak of the Brazilians and their samba.
Yeah.
Same thing. Siki Akono mentioned agro, and I don't know how it ended. So it's good we have this. Because I've not read the document, I'm unable to.
Same here.
Really,
same here. I mean, it's
really
a voluminous book,
but
so
then,
we. Yeah.
But then I'm happy
what we have to do is to set time and have a whole show where we're going to discuss the key elements within this football DNA, so that
I'm happy that at least there's something to speak to. There's something to work with, and I think we should start with that. I mean, there are people are saying so many things. I would want to see the document and listen to the people who drafted it, how they seek to implement it, and then if you have something to say, you can make more informed analysis rather than just saying things, I mean, on the basis of...
Well, you can expect that, Jerome, especially around this time when we're building up to another FA election. There's a lot of back and forth in the air.
We leave that for them. Some of us want informed analysis, not just politicking.
Exactly. There's also the conversation about Ghana and our performances on the international stage. As we speak, the Black Queens are the only national team who have a little glimmer of hope to do something. Now, in the last 24 hours, the Black Queens have recorded a 3-0 win away against Guinea. Yeah. And that is making them look good to, make it eventually to the Olympic Games in France.
Sure. And
Nora Hoptel so far has recorded 100%. I mean, 4 games, 4 wins.
I did a post where I said that in Nora we trust. Yeah, because see, the Black Meteors couldn't deliver at that level. If the Black Queens have the opportunity to deliver, why not? And you see, they are showing it. Yesterday I followed their game and I was happy. First half ended 2-0. I wondered how the Guineans were going to come back. They were not going to come back. And the Queens added another one, finished the game so nicely. You see, when you say this, sometimes people think you are looking down on our coaches here. The reason I like Chris Hilton is the work ethics I have seen him speak about. And to some extent, I've seen him demonstrate.
Yeah.
I think Hoptel is doing the same thing. She's demonstrating some work ethics that I think have been missing.
Yeah, but before you go on, Jerome, you see, for how long can we continue along this line, talking about how not so good our coaches are, and how long can this? When can we put a stop to that? And
it is not about our coaches not being good. It is the attitude they take to the work. See, Sike Akuno, wherever he is, I'm sorry. When he was Black Stars coach, and media were talking about he not having a free hand to work, he said it's not true. When he left the job, he said it is true. He didn't have free hands to work. Now, such an attitude becomes problematic, because if you are there and you are not being given the chance to work, insist that you are given the chance or you leave the job. That is something that I think to a large extent some of the other coaches elsewhere will not take. They will leave the job for you because they must have the independence to work. And I'm saying that the level of confidence and authority I have seen Hoptil demonstrate is an added value to the Black Queens. And why? We have friends around the team who speak to us. You know, the girls tell their other friends and journalists around the team that, look, she's a good woman, she's a good coach, she knows her job, and we are ready to die for her. Dying for her means dying for Ghana because she is leading us. So I'm saying that it is not necessarily about knowing the coaching principles and the tactics and those things. It's also about attitude and the kind of ethics you take to the job. That's what is missing, in my opinion, for some of our coaches.
David, you are in a football market that has also evolved over the years. When you mentioned the United States of America, for many years, it's the baseball, it's the basketball, and the rest of it. But over the course of time, the U.S. has grown structures, has had an active system, and now grown a very good league, which has drawn a lot of massive investments from around the world, with the likes of David Beckham all making, a certain level of investment in the league and all of that, attracting players from all over the world, and also having high ratings for their national teams, both male and female. What lessons are we not learning? I mean, looking at the current structures that we have and looking at where we are regarding, the building blocks of our football, juvenile football, and the academy system and all of that.
I think one is, of course, you can't really take finance out of it. It's money. And for them, they invest in the money into football because they want to progress. And when you use Ghana as example, and I think as Joy did an interview with one football administrator, I don't want to mention names, but they asked him how much he's made for money, and he said it's made about 5-6 million. And when you look at his team, I don't think he's not invested anything into his team. He doesn't have facilities for his team. The jerseys they wear, it's not even good enough, and that's one main reason. When America have money, they put the money into good use. They build academies. When you come to the MLS now, they have the MLS. Every team have MLS Next Pro. It's like reserve league that they play against every team. And then they have the academy where they play MLS Next. They play against each other, and sometimes they invite teams from all over the world play tournaments. So that's the progress. But in Ghana, we don't invest the money into football. We make the money from football and take it somewhere else. We don't invest the money, and we always complaining. So money is one, and also be ready to have a goal. Set the goal and follow through. It will take time, but for us, we want the progress. We want the job. We don't want to suffer. When we set the goal, follow the goal through. It will take time, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years, but let's have a firm goal, a firm DNA that this is what we want to achieve. And that's what they're doing here. And now you see America sell players from MLS to Europe for 20 million, 50 million, but we have players in our league that can't even go for 1 million. And I spoke to some teams when they want players, they go to Ghana and scout, and they were like, David, I don't think a player from Ghana can go straight into a league in Europe, even Scandinavia level, and start straight away. It will take time. And hearing this from people who know football is frustrating and sad, because you want Ghana players to do well. And if they're looking down on us like this, it's difficult. And you can't really blame the players. You just blame the system and maybe a little bit of the players, because they also have to better themselves. Because you can't tell me Ghana player cannot go to Scandinavia and start straight away. Even MLS, one guy came, what's his name? He used Salim from Hasselhoff, and he's playing in the second team for Cincinnati. MLS, come on. We have to do better. We are far behind, and it really pains me when I see all this stuff or people saying that we're not good enough to go straight into any top league and start. And it's difficult. We need to start doing something, and I think it's all start from the grassroots. We need to have a soccer DNA. We need to put money into the league, and also we need good administrators, COO administrators who are good, who have knowledge about the game, not the old school type. Football has developed, and it involves a lot of stuff, technical, technology, everything. So we need our administrators to catch up as well, not only the footballers.
Well, wrapping up the show in a few moments, but one other thing, one other very interesting one that has popped up in terms of the very different varied types of football that we can be playing is futsal. So futsal is a football game that is played on a hard court with 5 players on each side. And there's a futsal league ongoing. My good friend Aniu Sabute is very, very, neck deep in there. And this is actually week 3 of the futsal games. And Pram Pram is a hot spot for futsal. I'm just hoping that we can carry this through properly so that, we see it and so that Ghana can start participating. Because you see, we say we have a lot of talent, but not everybody can make it into the Black Stars. There's the option of beach soccer. There's the option of, because Senegal are dominating at the AFCON and they're dominating in beach soccer as well.
Of course, the opportunities are a lot, but how we take advantage of them is another thing. I've seen the futsal thing.
Yeah.
People have asked about even the infrastructure for the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of questions have been asked whether we are using the right infrastructure. If it is, and I know it's not the right thing, but then if that is the way to start, why not? So the opportunities are there. But see, Nat, we really need to look at sports development in Ghana and how we are doing it and what we are putting in. I think that is our challenge. Even the little resources we have, I'm not sure we are using them correctly. And that's why our sports appear to be some way. I mean, appear not to be on well. I mean, the cap on our sports doesn't seem to be fitting properly because we are not doing the right things. So futsal might be great, but the infrastructure is not there. We have started anyway. If we have any resources, whatever resources we are putting into sports development, I think we should look at things properly and change the way we are doing things, because that is the problem. When it comes to football, they say because it's football, FIFA fans will come when we qualify. But then, how are we able to get money for football and not the other stuff? Sometimes as low as 15,000 cedis, some of the sporting disciplines will be suffering.
Well, that one is another conversation for another day. There's a message from Gabriel which says, we need an aggressive or hard-running striker to replace Asamoah Gyan if we want to qualify. Okay, thank you very much, Gabriel, for that message. Nat, good afternoon. We'd better not call ourselves a football nation, having failed to win the Africa Cup of Nations in 40 years. The piecemeal plan should give away from long-term plans coupled with non-interference in the coach's work. Done deal. Francis Kwabena Kofi in Dansoman sent that one. Okay, so interesting names in the futsal league. Anil Sabute, your teams are very, very, the names are interesting. I don't know which of them you own or you run. There's Team Red FC playing Obama FC, and then Ni Aye FC playing Sakasaka FC. Ni Aye FC obviously will be owned by someone called Ni Aye. David, thank you so much for the time. I'm sure we're going to be calling on you some more, as we go along and as we continue with the qualification processes. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Well, David Akam, Ghana International, plays his football in the Major League Soccer in the United States of America, joining us. Remember, the aim is to qualify to go and play in the US, Canada, and Mexico for the next FIFA World Cup. Jerome Otre is an editor, joining me with analysis here in the studio. Thank you so much for all of the messages, and we're going to be bringing you some more as we go along. Remember, we're building up to the big thought leadership event And details will come up sometime during the week when we break communication on specific details. But of course, I'd like to say a very big thank you to two good friends who celebrated their birthdays during the week. Ivy Williams, happy birthday to you again. Ivy Williams, happy birthday to you. And also to Humphrey Awulete Williams, the CEO of Oswald Investments. It's a wholly owned Ghanaian construction firm. Thank you so much for being good friends. So that's it. Let's have a wonderful time. Hey, and of course, we'll have to pay our condolences to Larry Otu, who is the CEO of Primeval Media. Remember, Primeval Media were the agency that ran that $1.5 million banking deal for the Black Stars, Unibank, at the time when Unibank was alive. So Larry is burying his father today. Our condolences to you. And Larry's wife is the nutritionist of the Black Stars. Yeah. Charlie, big man. Anyway, Wubeti is in an all black and white outfit, ready to, blow you away with the tracks. Later on, the big conversations come up in Showbiz A to Z. My